There's a weightlessness that happens when you fly, and it is so important to be focused. You can't necessarily let the other things in from the world, and so there's like a really deep focus that happens, and then also there's just like a freedom that happens, especially in Montana. I think there's so many opportunities to fly, and there have been so many sunset flights that I've had where there's no one on the radio. It's just me and my little lawnmower of an engine just ripping around, and that freedom and the focus is like such a wonderful combination. Hi, I'm Beth Steele. I am from Kalispell, Montana, and I am a backcountry CFI for Backcountry Flying Experience, and I do tailwheel and seaplane ratings. I started flying when I was 29. So originally I started out as a recreational pilot, and then eventually I was like, oh, it'd be really nice to make money doing that. So I changed careers and worked fairly hard to get my CFI. It took me a while to do it, but yeah, built hours in my Taylorcraft and ultimately did it in a 172. I got in a seaplane and I fell in love. I think I was like absolutely addicted to seaplanes. There's a joke out there that's like, what does it take to make a seaplane fly? And someone's like, oh, gas, whatever. It takes money. It just takes money to make a seaplane fly. And so one of the best ways that you can actually build seaplane hours is to be a CFI. And the opportunity was there. Living in Kalispell, I really wanted to stay in the valley, and backcountry is the perfect opportunity that way. I do teach in 172s as well, and I don't mind it, but I don't love it the same way. Growing up here, it's amazing to keep flying here, and that's part of the reason I wanted to work for backcountry is I did want to fly in my backyard before I went somewhere else and did more flying. I think you could fly here for a lifetime and never tick all the boxes, and it'll never get boring. So I got my private and then got my tailwheel with Tom, and I knew I wanted to get a plane, and at that time the club plane I was flying went away, and my friend was selling his Taylorcraft, and someone was like, you should talk to him. And so I did, and we went flying, and I was like, it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. And it really scared me in the beginning. I had a really healthy respect for it. I still do. Like, proficiency versus currency in a tailwheel is a big, big piece. And so I try to fly it as much as I can. Stay fresh with it. It's great. I love it. It brings so much, it brings a lot of happiness into my life. So its tail number is 37 Yankee Delta, and it is affectionately known as Yankee Doodle at the airport. Sounds like a lawnmower. It's my favorite airplane to fly by a long shot. I love going in it by myself. I also love taking friends in it that have never flown. A lot of them are like, oh, this is cool. And they don't really know this, but like how special it is, I guess. But it's a 1978, it's an F-19, so it's a newer run of Taylorcrafts. And it has taught me so much about aviation. I've gotten to do annuals with my A&P, like owner-assisted annuals, and I've learned how to cover it in fabric and do repairs that way. And it's really just helped me feel like I just know that airplane inside and out. And I put a little hula guy on my dashboard, but he just like sits up there and makes his little hula dance as I fly. It's great. I think the biggest thing is energy management, and I find it with tailwheel pilots and seaplane pilots. If they're a good tailwheel pilot, I generally find they're a really good seaplane pilot. And it's because you need energy management, you need to find your landing attitude and then use energy to really come onto the water nice and soft, as opposed to in like a wheel plane, if you can just put it on the runway, especially tricycle gear. So water does not compress, it displaces, and there's also no shock absorption in that airplane. So the biggest thing is energy management and making sure that you're watching your sight picture and helping your student kind of adjust to that. When you're backcountry flying, you deal with winds, you deal with density altitude, especially here, and you deal with maximizing performance in your airplane and your skill set. And so I think it's a very rewarding way to fly. So I have a 100-horse engine in my Taylorcraft. If I'm gonna go fly over a mountain, I generally have to go find lift as opposed to being able to just fly up and over it. And so I think it's a really cool way to use your skill set and be safe. The safety aspect, it doesn't seem like it ever goes away, and it shouldn't go away with backcountry flying. It should always be a fairly serious endeavor, and I think you should know what you're getting into, and I don't think it should be taken lightly. I think it can be a very cool thing, and I think a lot of people chase it for the cool factor, and people do that safely. But if you do it without knowing some of the risks, it can be a lot harder. I think it's super important to have training and to have someone that you feel like is a mentor who can help you make some of these decisions as you're making them for the first time. I think mentorship is a huge piece of being a successful pilot. It's having someone you can bounce ideas off of and feel really comfortable asking questions I think that's a really good way to check yourself, whether it's a co-pilot or someone you talk to before you take off. My first introduction to general aviation was when I was 6 years old. My grandpa took me flying, and he did that every year for my birthday. He was so much fun to fly with. He was like a huge safety proponent, so one of the most memorable things I have is he would hand me the checklist. Like one of the first things I remembered to read was a checklist, and I memorized it, and one day I was reading it upside down. Instead of actually reading the checklist, I was what I memorized, it was flipped upside down. He looked over and he's like, "You're not reading the things off the checklist." And my grandmother was always his co-pilot. I think she's 93 now, and I took her flying a couple months ago for her 93rd birthday. And the whole time we were just up there, she's pointing at mountains and being like, "Oh, I flew there, I flew there, I flew there." But I think that's my favorite thing about my grandfather and my grandmother flying is just the memories that they built together. And when he passed, she couldn't find his logbooks anywhere. And in the last year, we were able to find the logbooks. And so about every week I go up there and we go through different parts of his logbooks, and she tells me stories of the different flights that he wrote down in there. It's actually changed the way I do my logbooks because he put in the people he was with, and he put in all these special things. There's literally an entry in his logbook on the day I was born when they were flying to see me. And I found that, and it made me cry. It's gonna make me tear up. He was also the first one to call me Beth. He put baby Beth in his logbook. They named me Elizabeth. Yeah. And then my mom's like, "Well, I guess she's a Beth now." It's just a really cool piece of history for my aviation. And it's changed how I get to fly. And I always feel like he's with me when I fly. So it's just pretty cool.